Hey guys, in today's video we're taking a look at the Zhiyun Crane version 2 and whether or not it is still a good option for someone that's looking for a 3-axis electronic gimbal in 2018. I bought my Zhiyun Crane V2 2 weeks ago and have spent some time working with it, and the general consensus has been pretty positive. I've already had the opportunity to use it in a professional setting when I shot a music video last week, and overall I was happy with the results. Now we all know the latest generation Crane 2 is now available for purchase to the public and is better than the V2 in a few key ways that we'll get into later. This video is more like an overview of the V2 and whether or not it is still a good buy for 2018. Right out of the box, the gimbal comes in a really nice hardshell briefcase. Inside, all the different components are nicely held in some cutouts in black cushioning that's really nice. The presentation is the highlight of the unboxing here, and you can tell that Zhiyun really wanted to give you a sense of quality in the product. So the way a 3-axis electronic gimbal works is that you have 3 independent axes: your roll, pitch, and yaw. Each axis has its own brushless motor that constantly corrects for movement and shakes. With all the technical stuff aside, the microcontroller units that control the 3 brushless motors in the Crane V2, one for each motor, are 32-bit and run at 4000 Hz. That's some pretty impressive processing and a hell of a lot of corrections every second, which is the reason why electronic gimbals are so smooth and are becoming pretty popular. I was able to get this gimbal for just 600 Australian dollars, which is about 460 US dollars. This was a bargain deal I couldn't pass, especially considering that the newer Crane 2 goes for about 700 US dollars here on the Australian market. Crane 2 now supports up to a 3.2 kilogram payload, a focus wheel for pull focus, an OLED display so you know exactly what modes you're in as opposed to guessing on the V2, a quick release plate, and battery life that is rated at 18 hours of use. Those are all very useful features to have. However, I just felt that they really weren't attractive to me as a creator in any of the work that I do. For starters, I shoot micro four thirds for almost every single photo or video I take. And if not, then it's probably an advanced compact of some sort. So that hefty payload really isn't a big deal for me. At 1.8 kilograms, the Crane V2 is still very adequate for my needs as a micro four thirds shooter. Another factor to consider was the focus wheel, until I learned that it's only compatible with Canon cameras. Now I know a lot of YouTubers out there are claiming that it's only a matter of time until Zhiyun adds support for other camera manufacturers. However, there really hasn't been any word from Zhiyun themselves regarding that. And as a person that shoots Panasonic and Sony sometimes, that feature is pretty much just non-existent for me at the moment. The OLED display is a great addition and probably one of the biggest features I'm missing out on. Crane V2 is great and all, but one annoying thing has always been the lack of any display or indicator that can kinda give you an idea of what mode or setting you're on. There's an indicator light that blinks blue and amber, and that's about it. Operating this gimbal can really feel like guesswork sometimes. Now I know you can use your smartphone and the Zhiyun app to get more functionality and settings, however these are features you just expect right out of the box for a product like this. The quick release plate on the Crane 2 is a really well thought out addition. During the last 2 weeks, I've been using the V2 with my RX 100, and one major area of frustration has been the fact that it's impossible to balance an RX 100 on the Crane V2 because the balancing plate doesn't move forward enough. So if you have a camera that is very back heavy, then you need some sort of 1/4 inch mountable quick release plate that gives you a lot more front and rear movement than what comes in the box. I've been using this Photomate LP01 macro focus rail slider that I got off eBay, and it's been working like a charm. I'll leave a link in the description below. Something to keep in mind is also the fact that Crane 2 has a minimum payload of 500 grams and the Crane V2 350 grams. If you want to use both with small compact cameras, then they generally won't work very well. On the Crane V2, I found that even when the motors were set to low, the gimbal was giving me a lot of micro jitter with the RX 100 mounted by itself. However, with the addition of the rail plate, it worked perfectly fine. Perhaps it's due to the RX 100 not being fully balanced when mounted individually, I don't know. Just keep in mind that these gimbals won't work well with lighter cameras. Finally, Crane 2 has larger capacity batteries than the V2. However, throughout the last 2 weeks, I've only charged the batteries on my V2 once, and as of right now, the batteries have about 80% charge. I've been using this gimbal almost every single day, experimenting with different mounting techniques, and even took it out for a music video shoot that lasted about 6 hours. Now, I wasn't shooting continuously throughout those 6 hours, but this is just an indication of how good the battery already is on the Crane V2. I think the claimed 12 hours of battery life from Zhiyun is very much plausible. So yes, Crane 2 is a lot better than its predecessor in some significant ways. However, as mentioned earlier, all the upgrades that were made from the V2 wouldn't really benefit me in a big way. So in the end, that was the thought process behind making the decision to go ahead and purchase the Zhiyun Crane V2 for 2018. At just $460 US, this was almost a steal for me for a product that had a launch price of close to $800. The Zhiyun Crane V2 is still a very capable and arguably one of the best electronic gimbals on the market today, and it can give you some really amazing cinematic results. Electronic gimbals have always been notoriously expensive, so being able to get the Crane V2 at a fraction of the original cost really makes it a more practical choice. If you are a person that strongly believes they will take full advantage of the new features on the Crane 2, then by all means pay the extra $300 or so US. I didn't believe they were worth it, so I just ended up spending that extra money on a new lens. Thanks for watching, and I hope that this video has been useful to you. Please leave a like or a comment, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button as well as turn on notifications for more videos like this. Catch you folks in the next one.